No fans in the stands has been around for quite a few months now, but it seems like some of these athletes still haven't fully adjusted to having no fans in the stadium. We can see in the world of football there's been some crazy scorelines of 6-0, 5-0, 7-2, stuff like that. And in the NBA there have been 30-point blowouts here, there and everywhere. And so it seems like a lot of athletes are actually having a hard time fully adjusting to this kind of new aspect in their sport. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Turay, and in this video today, what I'm going to be doing is breaking down the psychology and breaking down the impact no fans in the stands is actually having on athletes' performance. So if you're a football fan, if you're a basketball fan, stay tuned for this video as we'll be talking about why maybe your favorite team is either doing really well or why they're doing terrible, and how the impact of no fans in the stands is actually having on their performance. So the existence of fans dramatically changes sports events from it just being two opponents clashing together to an amazing atmosphere, an amazing environment where magical sporting moments could actually happen. And so we, the fans, with our engagement, with our chanting, our booing of the other team, with actually cheering for our side, and with our different slogans, our different chants and stuff like that, this has an amazing impact on athletes' performance and really motivates a lot of players to actually perform at their best. And so studies have actually looked into how this actually impacts athletes' performance and whether it actually does. And so these studies have actually shown that these home teams actually score a lot more goals compared to these away teams. And this is due to the fans cheering, they're chanting their different things and actually creating an amazing atmosphere to help their home team actually score and win the matches, whether that's in football or in basketball. And so in the world of psychology, a reason why athletes' performance actually might improve with fans being there is because of something called social facilitation. And so this is the urge for humans, not just athletes, all humans, to want to put their best foot forward and perform really well in front of others. Whether that's an elite athlete wanting to perform amazingly in front of a stadium, or that's a university student wanting to perform well in their presentation assignment or stuff like that. Social facilitation suggests that everyone wants to perform their best when others are looking, others are watching, and others are maybe observing their performance. And so this urge of wanting to actually perform well, wanting to put our best foot forward, this shows itself in many forms. So for example, we can see it when athletes are coming into the stadium and they're welcomed by an amazing cheer or boo if you're away. This happens through athletes having their sweaty palms, having a surge of adrenaline, for example, or through having elevated heart rates. All of these different physical changes are due to wanting to kind of perform well, going into that stadium, going into that situation and really having those feelings and wanting to actually present ourselves and actually perform our best in front of others. So we can see this a lot, for example, when fans were in stands, when they were booing other people, when they were cheering for their favorite player and stuff like that, and that was kind of encouraging people or kind of putting them down when they're taking penalties in football or when they're shooting those kind of clutch free throws within basketball.
But Sansalina. I can't believe my eyes.
And so now within this kind of day and time, unfortunately, we do have the whole aspect of no fans in the stands. This has presented athletes with a lot of positives as well as a lot of negatives. And so first for some of the positives, so some of these players might actually be benefiting from no fans in the stands, especially if they have high levels of anxiety, worry and stuff like that, as having those thousands of eyes watching them is really going to negatively affect their performance and the skills they actually be able to produce. We can also see this in some teams' away record. They are a lot better compared to previous seasons. So for example, in football, Man United, their away record has been a lot better and has been really good. On the flip side, we can see in the NBA, the Lakers, they have been steamrolling teams when they've been away. And so a lot of different players, a lot of different athletes, their team record has actually been a lot better. And this actually shows that having no fans in the stands is actually having a positive effect for them. But then on the flip side, and there's always a flip side. The negatives to having no fans in the stands is that these players who love to kind of perform in front of a crowd, who are a bit confident, cocky, want to kind of silence the away fans, or they want to boost their fans up who are cheering for them, those fans who really get a lot of their energy from fans, they are, I believe, suffering so much because they can't get that same adrenaline rush. They can't get that same boost of energy because there's no fans in the stands. And so for these athletes, they're having to try and self-motivate themselves to kind of build up that energy level. And it seems like some of them still haven't figured out how to do this. And that's what we can see and why their team might be doing really, really poorly. And also for those players, those teams who really need the fans to kind of get them going and really increase their energy levels, not only could no fans in the stands be affecting their ability to kind of self-motivate themselves, this could actually be affecting their levels of focus and actually being able to perform the specific strategies, the specific tactics that their team requires of them for them to actually win the match. And so even with all these negatives, some interesting things have actually come out of this, with some NBA players saying that now that there's no fans in the stands, they have to be a bit more careful with what they're kind of saying on the court, because the opponent can actually hear the coach, they can hear the offensive schemes they're trying to run, and they can make adjustments on the fly a lot better and adjust to the offensive schemes they're actually trying to use to score. And so this is actually proving to be a lot more challenging for these athletes than I think we the fans really thought it would be at first. And so with all these positives and negatives, I feel I felt both of them. Me being a Liverpool fan and feeling more of the negative sides of no fans in the stands, as well as me being a New York Knicks fan and actually seeing the Knicks are actually playing really well and actually competing well, and having no fans in the stands actually might be helping them. And so I feel like I've experienced both sides, and I definitely would love for fans to be back, but then I'd also want the Knicks to kind of continue playing how they are playing now. And so with all these positives and negatives, I definitely do have some final questions because I'm unsure of just what's going to happen. So for example, how is this actually going to affect athletes when fans are allowed in the stands? Is it going to help them a lot more, maybe boost their energy levels and their motivation? Or is it going to have a massive negative effect on them because it's going to be such a different change from silence to then 20, 30,000 people at a stadium either chanting your name or booing you and wanting you to kind of miss? So it's definitely going to have a massive impact on different athletes when fans actually come back. Another question I have is the home team advantage, which we've always heard a lot about within the NBA, within football and stuff like that. Is this actually going to have that much effect on athletes come the future, as they're kind of a bit more used to having no fans in the stands and they can a bit more kind of self-motivate themselves? Or is this actually going to have more of an effect on athletes because of that big change? And so just as the world is going to have to adjust as things kind of open up and things are a bit more safe to kind of open up and do so, so too the sporting world is going to have to change and adjust, and athletes' performances are going to have to adjust to make sure they're capitalizing when fans are back in the stand. But only time will tell how this will actually affect athletes physically as well as mentally. And so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. Subscribe for more sports psychology content just like this, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.